Hey everyone, it's Ryan Ward with Premier Atlanta Real Estate, and today I'm going to answer the question of whether now is a good time to buy real estate, sell real estate, or both here in Atlanta. It's certainly unusual circumstances in the market, and that's led to some people making predictions based on anecdote and fear, and these are never good methods to make a decision. Watch through and find out for yourself what I think is the right move in the real estate market right now. So Georgia was the first state to reopen after the shutdown in April of 2020, and the real estate market in Metro Atlanta reaped huge benefits as a result. In my last video, I shared my thoughts on why I don't think it's possible to see a national housing crisis or crash in 2021, and today we're going to look closely at Metro Atlanta. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out right here. National demand for homes rose about 1% in 2020, while in Atlanta, demand was up 5% over 2019. That's a lot more than the national average. So is this a housing bubble in the Atlanta real estate market? Can we absorb increased inventory if and when foreclosures and forbearance problems hit the market? Will that even happen in 2021? And the biggest question, of course, is now a good time to buy or sell a home? We were fortunate to have a phenomenal real estate market in 2020 here in Atlanta that otherwise saw, some economic sectors get completely demolished. It's been difficult to watch the retail, restaurant, and music industries, for example, hurt so bad. And hopefully the vaccine will help revitalize these important parts of our economy and our culture. I think it's critical that all of that happens. So let's jump in and answer the question of whether now is the right time to list or buy a home in Atlanta, or if we need to worry that foreclosures will hurt or even crash the Atlanta real estate market. The most common concern that I've heard, and maybe you as well, or read, is that the millions of people who elected forbearance won't be able to get caught up on their payments, and it's going to cause a massive wave of foreclosures. So I certainly understand this concern, especially since there are so many more homeowners in forbearance than during more normal times. Since this seems to be the biggest cause for concern, let's try to understand it a little bit better. Freddie Mac did the best study I can find on forbearance during COVID and found from historical forbearances that the higher your monthly payments, the higher your loan to value, or the lower your credit scores, the more likely you were to default. It just so happens that right now, forbearances due to COVID match closely to a recent time of increased forbearance during the storm season of 2017. But the number of forbearances are lower than in 2017 as the loan to value increases, suggesting there may be fewer foreclosures as a percentage of loans currently in forbearance than at that time. So while this study can't predict the future, it does provide a great deal of insight as to who is in forbearance and what's likely to happen based on real-world past examples. In my opinion, the most telling statistic is that according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, 32% of homeowners who are in forbearance right now are actually still on time with their payments. Right off the bat, 32% of homeowners who are in forbearance, they're almost not even potential foreclosures anymore. That's almost shocking and great news, really, at the same time. Also, please keep in mind that there is a foreclosure moratorium for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae loans through January of 2021, and the moratorium runs through February for FHA loans. There's a possibility that one or both of these will get extended even further depending on how the market is continuing to hold up. So let's review how the foreclosure process works in Georgia, because a wave of them isn't going to happen in 2021, no matter what anyone tries to tell you. Georgia is a non-judicial foreclosure state, which means lenders don't need to go to court first to begin the process of foreclosure. This means in Georgia, foreclosures happen faster than in some other states. So if foreclosures are coming, we'll likely see them here before many other places around the country. A foreclosure starts with a default on payments of a minimum of 2 months typically before a lender will start with a notice of intent to foreclose. Law requires notice be given at least 30 days before the foreclosure sale. There are a lot of other steps involved, but we're just looking at time since that's the biggest concern here. This means that we're at least 2 to 3 months out before the foreclosure sale can even happen at the courthouse. At that point, the home will either get auctioned and purchased at the courthouse or go back to the bank. As a side note here, it never actually hits the market if it gets purchased while it's at the courthouse. Now, if the home doesn't sell at auction, it goes back to the bank and to an asset management department. Once it's there, it's going to get evaluated, priced, inspected, and sits around in a file on a desk of an asset manager who has way too much work to process these things quickly. You're looking at 6 months at least before they hit the market after the 3 months at the beginning in a fastest case scenario in a normal time of foreclosures. It's more likely going to take a year or more if banks start needing to foreclose in large numbers. This timeline means that there's no real way for foreclosures to affect the market in 2021, since they won't even enter until the very end of the year at the earliest. By then, everyone will have had the vaccine, all businesses will be reopened, and as Americans, we'll be getting back to the life as we knew it before COVID, which means the economy will be operating on all cylinders for the first time in a while. Remember, we're also in a market with supply that is so low that it's the supply that's the actual housing crisis. Another thing to consider, before the government and lenders let these homes go into foreclosure, there will be a full effort made to set up repayment plans and allow for loan modifications before we start getting into massive numbers of defaults, which will take even more of these homes out of the potential foreclosure status. Please understand that banks don't want to foreclose on homes. It isn't their business model. As we've already seen, 32% of homeowners aren't even late. Other people will figure out how to get caught up. Others will sell at market prices or otherwise solve this problem because most homeowners have enough equity to sell, unlike in the real housing crash in 2007. This doesn't leave enough foreclosures to crash the real estate market in Atlanta. Here's why. Everything about the real estate market starts and ends with supply and demand. We saw that demand in Atlanta outpaced the national average with 5% year-over-year increase in the number of sales. A significant reason is that Atlanta has been one of the top 5 fastest growing cities in the country for the last 5 years for net migration, according to the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. If everything else stays the same, we actually need to sell even more homes just to keep up with growth. Another reason demand will stay high in 2021 is that we know interest rates are going to remain very low. The Fed has already told us this, and they've even indicated that they're likely to keep it low beyond 2021. These 2 reasons alone should ensure that demand stays high and there's nothing on the horizon to change it. Now over to supply. If there's a housing crisis, it's that supply is too low right now. In my opinion, it's at an unhealthy low, and it would actually be a relief to the market if we could see more supply. As an example, an agent on my team representing a buyer just made an offer on a home in January of 2021, which is the slowest part of the year, and coming on the north side of Atlanta on a home that had over 80 showings and 25 offers in 3 days. Now, just consider for a moment how low supply is if there were 25 people who wanted this house and couldn't get it. This is a story that plays out across Atlanta and at all price points. Last year, we had multiple offers on 2 properties over $1 million. Every home we listed after the shutdown that sold in 2020 had more than one offer, and this chart shows you exactly what I mean when I say inventory is too low. It would be impossible for inventory to rise to levels that would cause prices to fall when we see what demand is likely to be and how low the supply is currently. Look, if demand was cut in half and supply tripled, we still wouldn't be in a buyer's market in Atlanta. We have about a 1-month supply at the time of this recording. So, should you buy a home right now? If you want to buy before prices get higher, if you want to buy while interest rates are low and your buying leverage is high and you can find a home you like, yes, in my opinion, you should buy a home right now. At the end of the day, none of us know exactly what the future will bring, and we do know what is happening right now. In the current environment, now is as good a time as any to buy that there's ever been. So what about if you should sell? Well, if what I'm saying here holds true, waiting may cause your home to be worth more in the future, so maybe you should wait and hold out for a higher sales price, except the house you'll be purchasing after you sell this current one is also going to cost you more money. Why wait on any sort of uncertain future outcomes when you know what an amazing time it is right now to sell your home due to low inventory levels and how incentivized buyers are due to low interest rates? I understand it's very rare to be able to answer the question of how's the market with an answer of great when it applies to both buyers and sellers simultaneously. But if you're in the metro Atlanta market, including the suburbs, now is the time to buy and the time to sell. At some point in the future, one side will not have the leverage it has currently. Some of you will wait while others will capitalize. Which side of the decision will you be on? Finally, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.